Otters. Let's be real, they're the undisputed darlings of the internet. You see them everywhere in viral videos, floating on their backs, sledding down hills, and just looking impossibly happy. They've become a symbol of pure, unadulterated joy. A quick search shows them holding hands, juggling rocks, and acting in ways that make us think they're just furry, aquatic toddlers who want to play all day. Their faces seem stuck in a permanent state of curious bliss, and their antics are a welcome break from our own hectic lives. We've basically turned them into the perfect, cuddly companions you wish you could just scoop up and take home. It's an image that's easy to love, and even easier to believe. But what if I told you that behind those cute little habits lies a story of fierce competition, shocking intelligence, and behaviors so strange, you'd think they were made up? You think you know why an otter juggles its favorite rock, but the truth is way more bizarre. Today, we're finding out what's really up with otters. We're going beyond the memes and cute compilations to look at the science and the often shocking reality of these incredible animals. Your whole idea of the internet's favorite animal is about to get turned upside down. Let's start with one of their most famous tricks, rock juggling. You've probably seen it. An otter, floating on its back, passing a little stone from paw to paw, rolling it over its chest, maybe even tossing it in the air. It looks exactly like a kid practicing a new skill for fun. For years, even scientists thought this was just a form of practice. Sea otters are famous for using rocks as tools to smash open hard-shelled prey like clams. So, it made perfect sense that young otters would juggle to sharpen the motor skills they need for foraging. It's a neat and tidy explanation that fits right in with their playful image. But the reality is much weirder. A recent study published in the journal Royal Society Open Science looked into this exact question. The research team watched otters in captivity, fully expecting to find a clear link between juggling and hunting skills. The idea was simple: the best jugglers would be the best at getting food from tricky puzzle toys. But that's not what they found at all. The study showed zero correlation between an otter's juggling skills and its ability to solve the food puzzles. All that practice didn't seem to be making them any better at getting dinner. So if it's not practice, what's going on? The study gave us two fascinating clues. First, juggling was most common in two groups: very young otters and very old otters. For the young ones, researchers think it might help with brain and muscle development, kind of like how babies play with blocks to figure out the world. For the older otters, this play could be a way to keep their minds sharp and stave off cognitive decline, a little mental workout in their golden years. But the most surprising discovery was what triggered the juggling. Researchers noticed that the otters juggled way more right before feeding time. The closer it got to a meal, the more frantic the juggling became. This suggests rock juggling isn't just play, it's a sign of hunger and excitement. Scientists call this misdirected foraging behavior. The hungry otter is thinking about food, its brain is firing up all the nimble movements it needs to eat, but since there's no food yet, that energy gets channeled into juggling a rock. Think of it like fidgeting, an outward expression of a rumbly tummy. So next time you see an otter juggling, it might not be putting on a show. It might just be really, really hungry. Alright, let's talk about the big one, the idea that otters are the definition of cuteness. They're the face of aquariums, they line the plush toy aisles, and they're a guaranteed dose of adorable. It doesn't help that they're related to weasels, ferrets, and wolverines, members of the mustelid family known for being ferocious. But otters are the gentle, fun-loving cousins, right? Wrong. Behind that fluffy, whiskered face is the heart of a fierce, and at times, brutal carnivore. Nature isn't a Disney movie, and otters are a pretty stark reminder of that. Wildlife handlers know this well and have to protect themselves from bites powerful enough to break bones. But their dark side goes way beyond self-defense. Let's talk about male sea otters. During mating season, their behavior can get incredibly violent. Mating is often not a gentle event. A male will chase down a female and, to subdue her, will bite her face and nose, sometimes leaving severe, permanent wounds, while holding her head underwater. Tragically, this aggression can be fatal, and females have been known to drown during these encounters. One study off the California coast found that a shocking percentage of female sea otter deaths were due to this mating trauma. And the aggression isn't just limited to their own kind. In one of the most disturbing documented behaviors, male sea otters in Monterey Bay have been seen forcibly copulating with baby harbor seals. These encounters are so violent that the young seals often die. Even more bizarrely, the male otters have been seen staying with the seal carcasses for up to a week after they've died. And this wasn't a one-time thing, researchers documented 19 of these attacks in just a few years. There's also a strategy that can only be described as hostage-taking. A male sea otter might grab a pup that isn't his and hold it for ransom. He'll threaten to drown the pup until the mother gives him the food she just gathered. It's a ruthless survival tactic that shatters that cuddly image we love. Even otter moms, who are usually amazing parents, will abandon a pup if it's not healthy, leaving it to die. It's a brutal calculation, but a necessary one for her own survival. These behaviors aren't malicious, they are the harsh realities of life in the wild. They remind us that otters aren't pets. They're wild animals, driven by powerful instincts for food, territory, and procreation, and sometimes, those instincts are incredibly dark. If there is one image that defines our love affair with otters, it's two of them floating on their backs, holding paws. It's the ultimate symbol of animal romance, shared across social media as proof that love exists in the animal kingdom. We see a loving couple, drifting peacefully on the waves, unwilling to let go. It's a beautiful thought. We've projected all our own ideas of love and companionship onto them. But while it is incredibly adorable, the reason they hold hands is far more practical than romantic. The truth is, it's a survival tactic. Sea otters spend most of their lives in the ocean, and that includes when they sleep. To rest, they float on their backs. The problem? The ocean is always moving. Currents and tides can easily pull a sleeping otter out to sea or separate it from its group. To stop this from happening, sea otters have two clever tricks. One is to wrap themselves in kelp, using the long seaweed strands like a natural anchor. The other method is to hold hands. By linking paws with each other, they form a raft. This raft can be just two otters or sometimes hundreds, creating a big, floating group that's less likely to drift apart. It's especially common between mothers and their pups to make sure the little one doesn't get separated while they sleep. It's a vital tool for safety and staying together. It helps them save energy, stick together in the huge ocean, and even offers some protection from predators. This doesn't mean otters don't have affection. They are incredibly social animals with strong bonds, communicating through squeaks and whistles and spending a lot of time grooming each other. But the main reason for hand-holding isn't romance, it's survival. It's a brilliant adaptation to a life spent at sea that just happens to look incredibly sweet. So next time you see them holding hands, you can still say, "Ah," but now you'll also know you're looking at a remarkable example of nature's ingenuity. The image of a massive raft of sea otters reinforces the idea that all otters are super social creatures, living in big, bustling communities. We see them playing together and assume this is the norm for all 13 species of otter around the world. We tend to paint them all with the same social brush. However, otter social life is incredibly diverse and changes dramatically depending on the species. They run the whole social gamut, from intensely communal to fiercely solitary. On one end of the spectrum, you have the giant otters of South America. These are the socialites of the otter world, living in large family groups of up to 20, though 4 to 8 is more common. These groups have a complex social structure, usually led by a dominant breeding pair. They hunt together in coordinated packs and defend their territory as a unit. They even have a sophisticated vocabulary to match, with up to 22 different types of calls to communicate everything from alarm to happiness. On the complete opposite end are species like the European river otter. These otters are mostly loners. Males and females live separate lives, only meeting up briefly to mate. A male river otter defends his territory from other males, and a female raises her pups all by herself. Their social life is mostly about avoiding each other, not hanging out. Interestingly, even these solitary otters have surprisingly complex ways of communicating. A 2021 study on the neotropical river otter, another loner species, found they have 6 distinct call types. This is less than the highly social giant otter's 22 calls but more complex than the North American river otter's 4, suggesting even solitary animals need a nuanced way to talk when they do cross paths. Other species fall somewhere in the middle. Asian small-clawed otters live in extended family groups of about 12, while smooth-coated otters live in smaller groups of just a pair and their kids. Even within sea otters, males and females often form their own separate rafts, only mingling during mating season. This diversity shows there's no single way to be an otter. From the bustling family bands of giant otters to the lonely wanderings of river otters, their social life is as varied and fascinating as the animals themselves. The world of otters is so much more complex than the cute videos let on. It's a world of surprising intelligence, intricate social lives, and sometimes, brutal survival instincts. If you found this fascinating, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the hidden lives of animals. And let me know in the comments, which otter fact surprised you the most. So, what's up with otters? A lot, it turns out. They aren't the one-dimensional, playful characters we see on our screens. They are a diverse group of 13 species, each with its own way of life. They're intelligent tool users whose juggling is tied to hunger and brain development. They are doting mothers and, at times, ruthless survivors. They hold hands not for romance, but to keep from drifting away in their sleep. They are both intensely social and fiercely solitary. The gap between the internet otter and the real otter is huge. But that reality doesn't make them any less incredible. In fact, it makes them more so. It replaces a simple caricature with a deep, multifaceted portrait of a wild animal, perfectly adapted to its environment. The real story of the otter is a compelling reminder that nature is rarely just cute or just cruel, it's almost always a complex, beautiful, and sometimes brutal tapestry. And that is far more interesting than any meme.